Hey guys, Martial Arts Militia here. My name is Matthew, and today's video is going to be a range report on the HK USP9C. For this range report, I brought a total of 318 rounds. 150 rounds were 9mm Federal 115 grain full metal jacket, and then 168 rounds were a 9mm Winchester 115 grain full metal jacket. Of course, I shot at the usual 7 yards. Now, usually before I go to the range, I will try to test out the double action trigger on guns to get myself kind of used to it. That way I give the gun the best chances possible for a good performance. And the one thing I did notice was that the trigger in double action, if we fire from there, eventually it would seize up. It would get caught, and then I have to push the trigger forward to get it to reset. So something about the trigger return spring was not coming back. Of course, I dry fired with snap caps, but it would be pretty random, you know, maybe like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 dry fires. That trigger would get stuck, and I have to push it forward to get it to work again. So naturally, I took the gun apart. I put some, what is this, Hops 9 in there to kind of get it to loosen up if something was kind of sticking to it. You know, guns that are put in storage a very long time, typically the grease can rust, or not rust, but kind of dry and then kind of get caught on things. And the Hops 9 did help a little bit with the lubrication. It went for maybe like 50 to 60 to 70 dry fires, but then it would come back to getting stuck again, you know, that trigger getting stuck, and I had to push the trigger forward again. So I looked on the internet, and it seemed that some people were somewhat aware of it, and they just said that, well, they went shooting and it never happened again. So not my typical diagnosis, but I figured, well, I mean, I should probably test it out before I consider it a problem. Now for the range, if you recall from the P30SK, I had 23 magazines. For this one, I could only get 22, and the reason why is because this is a 13-round gun, and one of the magazines in the P30SK is a 12-rounder, so it's shorter, so of course it's not going to be able to fit in this gun. So I ended up taking 22 mags instead of 23. Of course, I did the typical, so first string of magazine would have been double action only. Second string would have been double action to single action, and then the third string would have been single action only. And then I would just rotate all the magazines until all my bullets were out. Now, as for the target one is going to be this guy right here. I'll give you a close-up of that. Again, that was double action only shots. As far as I can tell, it's good. It's acceptable for a civvy at 7 yards. I think it's fine. I didn't have problems with double action only in P30SK as well. For target 2, that's going to be this one right here. This one I was much happier with. I know that I struggled a lot with a double action, a single action pull in the P30SK, probably because of just timing, that I felt like I had to pull the trigger to keep the shots close to each other, when really I should be kind of slowing down, making sure that the shot is lined up and I'm ready for it, right? So I do feel like the DA-SA here was much better than it was in the P30SK. And finally, target 3 is going to be this guy right here. This was single action only, so I think it's pretty safe to say those would have been pretty much the best shots. Pretty good with these results. I think that I'm getting used to that drill of the double action only and DA to SA and SAO, so I'm pretty happy with the results. Now you'll notice in the range footage there was a lot of failures to eject in the beginning and throughout, and then there were some failures to feed. I think that eventually fixed itself and it never happened again. Now, as I mentioned before, with the trigger kind of sticking in dry fire, it never happened in the range. So live fire, it never happened. It just went through no problem. But of course, you know, I had to be sure. So even after the range, I put a snap cap in there and I dry fired, and it didn't happen again. So not my typical diagnosis, but yes, if you have a USP9C and you notice that it's sticking in dry fire and you haven't fired it yet, I would go ahead and fire it. In 318 rounds, the trigger didn't stick again. So I guess it's just some kind of growing pain for me, I guess. Hopefully the same with you if you have the same issue. Again, I tried to replicate it at home and it didn't happen, so at least not in 100 rack pliers. That's pretty much all I have to say about the USP9C. This one, it was actually the standard manual safety along with decocker, but I sent it in order to get work done and to change it to decocker only. That's why there's nothing on this side. I'm left-handed, so of course the gun's going to be here. So if I cock the gun right, then if I decock it, there you go, decocker only. That's the way I set it up. You can set it up different ways. A DA, DA-SA, manual safety, SAO, LEM triggers, things like that. And I thought about it, but honestly, I'm pretty happy with this. I'm probably just going to stick with that. One thing I noticed too is that with the other HKs, like P2000, P30, usually if you decock it, you can still cock it back for single action. It's very hard to do with this because the hammer is so small. You could, if you put enough force into it, to get that single action pull, but it's almost not worth it at that point considering how difficult it is. Now with this range report, the reason I did it was because I was kind of deciding between which of the guns to keep, USP9C or the P2000. They're pretty similar to each other, they use the exact same magazines. And I was kind of leaning more towards USP9C just because it has a unique system that you can change it out to manual safety, decocker, LEM trigger, left hand, right hand, both, right? It's pretty, pretty modular, so that's why it was pretty good. Granted though, with these failures to feed and eject, which again, hopefully is growing pains, I am leaning towards that. With those negatives, I'd have to shoot this again to make sure it never happened. And then to be fair, I'll give the P2000 another range report as well. I have shot it before, but I was a much weaker martial artist back then, and I get the feeling that my results will be a lot better now. So just to be fair, I'll give the P2000 another range report as well. Other than that, I'm moderately happy with the gun. I wish there were no issues, and I will certainly take it to another range report, but I can't say I have any complaints. I do like it, just wish it performed a bit better. So I'm gonna roll the range footage here for you guys. If you have any questions, you can always leave in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video, okay? Bye now.
You learned martial arts! Martial arts, good!